Good morning, students. So there was a question in the past UGC Net English 2025 question paper where they have asked the definitions of the novels from where it began. Okay, and in the options we have George Lucas, who calls the novel the epic of a world abandoned by God. Margaret and Doody, who locates the novel's birthplace from Mediterranean region. And then we have Mikhail Bakhtin, who traces the roots of the novels. The beginning of the novel started from Rome and ancient romances. Now the thing about this question is that three of them, George Lucas, Mikhail Bakhtin and Margaret and Doody, they gave three different beginnings of the novels. If you ask any literature professor about the origin of the novels, they would confidently say that it started in 18th century England. They would point out the writers like Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe or novels by Samuel Richardson like Pamela. You might have read about Pamela, you might have read Henry Fielding's Tom Jones, and we used to say that these are the fathers of the novels, but it is something else. Here we have these three people who gave three different beginnings about the starting of novels. So according to Margaret and Doody, novels came from Mediterranean region. Mikhail Bakhtin says that novels has their roots to ancient, and George Lucas says that novels came in the age of modernism when the clashes was between spirituality and the fragmented world. So fragmented world caused the good novels during the age of modernism. So we will look at all these three writers one by one in detail and the important works they have written, so that if any question comes from the same topics in the future, you will be able to easily solve those questions. Alright, so now let's begin this video. But then if you have not subscribed to UGC Net English Literature course, just make sure that you join Limitless Literature, and then I will be personally helping you how to crack all these competitive exams. You will be provided with the important lectures, 8 to 9 booklets and every single thing that is required for you to qualify this particular examination. Alright, so now without any further ado, let's begin with this video. Margaret and Doody is the true story of the novel published in 1996. Now here she did not accept. She says that no, novel did not begin in 18th century England. Doody take us to a journey back in the time. Okay, she used to talk about ancient Mediterranean world, that Greece, Rome, Egypt. Okay, so North Africa, these are the broader countries which comes under Mediterranean region. Novels was written by a lot of people earlier before England, and Doody called this approach Anglophone parochialism. Basically, she is saying that English language, English scholars are so narrow-minded. Okay, they are very narrow-minded and they always look the tradition of literature according to their perspective. These English people always ignore the bigger picture. The English people does not give the credits to the actual people. So she referred to 4 important novels. Yes, you have to write down these important novels because they can ask you in the next examination which of the novels referred by Margaret and Doody. First is Charrington's Calhoun, 1st century. It is world's first complete novel. Next is Achilles, Tatius, Leucippe and Clitophon, 2nd century Egypt. Next we have Heliodorus Ethiopica, 3rd century. Possibly it is written in Syria. Then we have Apuleius, the Golden Ass, which is written during 2nd century in North Africa. All these novels have complex, twisted plots. Yes, like we have young people who are in love. Okay, so we can see these things in all these novels. We have young people, we have pirates, we have magicians, we have fortune tellers. All these are here in these novels. Now Margaret and Doody gives a new definition of novel. Yes, she gives a new definition of novel, and that is a novel is an extended work of prose fiction regardless of when or where it was written. So Doody says if it is a long prose which is talking about the fictional story, okay, if there is a work which is talking about the fictional story, then it is a novel. It does not matter if it is a prose or if it is an actual novel. If it is a prose work, that is a fictional work, then we will classify it under as novel. And we can say that Margaret and Doody's works are related to post-colonial literature. She says that it is colonialism that is making English people superior. They ignore the real beginning of the novels, the contributor of other cultures and languages. And here is how the tradition of novels follow. She says that first came the Mediterraneans. Yes, the novel started with Mediterraneans. Then we have Byzantine and medieval narratives, 4th to 14th centuries, Renaissance prose romances, 15th to 17th centuries, modern European novels, 18th century onwards. The themes, the techniques and structure we find in all these novels like Robinson Crusoe, Pamela, Tom Jones are not new innovations. They are borrowed from the storytelling methods that were already at its peak during the Roman Empire. So do not say that this Robinson Crusoe is the beginning of all the novels. It is not true. And that we have seen here in the Margaret Doody's argument on post-colonial literature on the beginning of the novel. But then again, a lot of critics did not agree with her, just because you are just putting all the prose work into the novels. So a lot of critics says that it is not right. But then again, many critics praised for putting up this post-colonial perspective against the European mindsets. But then we have other writers. For example, we have George Lucas. We have seen in the question paper, in the options. Okay, so now let's discuss George Lucas' theory of the novel. Now in the examination we have the statement that George Lucas calls the novel the epic world of abandoned by God. Alright, so this particular author has been asked in the previous year, so this time they created a question from here. So let's learn about this particular work because it could have high probability to be asked in the next examination. Alright, so this particular work was written during the World War I when European civilization was falling apart. European civilization was falling apart because of World War I. We are seeing a lot of works like T.S. Eliot, Wasteland. Here George Lucas says that good novels, the actual novels, came during this particular period, age of modernism. As you know that the age of modernism where the world was broken into pieces. Here George Lucas says that the novel exists because we live in a world that has lost its sense of wholeness and meaning. He says that when the world was beautiful, the people used to write in harmony. They used to write epic. Yes, the people used to write epic when the world was very beautiful. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, that is also an epic. So in that ancient world, everything had its proper place. People knew their role in society, their relationship with among them, their relationship to the nature, their connection to the divine spirituality. So everywhere we see the world was meaningful back then during the period of Homer and Iliad. Okay, during the period of ancients, you did not have to search for purpose. So at that period of time, the epic used to get written. So Lucas said the world of the epic is the world of the totality, of completeness, the world of the self-evident, where everything has a secure and meaningful place. Now the novel emerges in a completely different world. Okay, so Lucas famously calls this world of modernism that it is abandoned by God. So what does abandoned by God mean? It simply means the form of writing that came in the modernism. Because modernism, the age of modernism, people don't have any values. People are fighting over religion. People are more lonely. Reality is fragmented. Epic heroes of Homer and Odyssey used to live in harmony. But now here, the writers like Virginia Woolf, they are writing Mrs. Dalloway, To the Lighthouse, Portrait of Artist as a Young Man. So the heroes of these novels are lost people. They are trying to find meaning in their life. You see, we have Great Gatsby, the hero who is pursuing the American dream, but then at the same time, the American dream also destroys him. So Lucas says that novels are an expression of transcendental homelessness, which means great desire of becoming the lost completeness of the epic age. These epics were about overcoming the external obstacles, they find meaningful goals and they reach the destination. But now in the age of modernism, the novels, the journey is inside rather than outside. Mrs. Dalloway to the lighthouse, the portrait of artist as a young man. So epics have clear beginning, middle and end. But now here it is always open. There is beginning, there is middle, but there is no end in the age of modernism. So the hero never knows what happens because he is living in the fragmented world, and that is abandoned by the world, abandoned by the god. So he classifies novels in different categories. Yes, please make a note of it. They can also ask you what are some of the categories that George Lucas have put towards the beginning of the novels, how the beginning of the novels came. Okay, so the first point is novels of irony. For example, Cervantes, Don Quixote. These novels derive meaning from the hero's failed quest. Then we have novels of resignation, for example, Tolstoy's Dostoevsky. These novels confront suffering and fragmentation directly. Then we have novels of disillusionment, where we have the characters which gradually lose their illusion and accept the reality. For example, Charles Dickens' Great Expectation, 1861, where the character Pip by the end of the novel comes out of his illusions and value genuine friendship and hard work. We have seen Margaret and Doody's perspective that the beginning of the novel came from Mediterranean reason. Now here we have George Lucas who said the beginning of the novels, or you can say the beginning of good novels, came in the age of modernism. And now here we have Mikhail Bakhtin who says the beginning of the novel is towards the ancient roots. Okay, so that is what asked in the question paper, and if we understand these things, it will get easy for us to answer. Uske आसपास का कुछ भी question आता है तो you will be able to answer in the future. Okay, so now let's discuss the concepts of Mikhail Bakhtin. So what he does, he says that the roots of the novels are from the ancient, and now let's discuss it. While most of the scholars were saying that novels began in 18th century, novel begins in a Mediterranean region, novels began in the age of modernism, as we have just seen, Bakhtin says that novels are defined by their ability to contain multiple voices, perspectives and social languages, all talking to each other within the same work. For example, when you go to a shopping mall, okay, when you go to shopping mall, what happens? You hear different people speaking. Okay, there are a lot of young boys, there are a lot of young girls, they are talking to each other and they are making love. We have the people who are complaining to the shopkeepers. Okay, so we have children's playing, officials making announcement, someone is dancing in the shopping mall, there is a joker in the shopping mall. So everyone is talking and they are creating this complex environment, web of communication. So Bakhtin says the roots of the novels go back to the ancient Greek and Roman literature, just because they invented the techniques of mixing. They invented this particular thing, mixing of multiple voices and social languages, that make novels possible. According to Mikhail Bakhtin, the novel is just like you are standing in a shopping mall and you are listening to thousands of voices around you. So all these are dialogism, heteroglossia, all these things. The concept like you are standing in the shopping mall and you are listening, you are just hearing the voices of different people. The young couples are talking to you. The complaint, someone is complaining to the official, someone is taking the food. So that is the sort of environment when you are standing in the shopping mall. That sort of environment is must be there in the novels, and such kind of techniques in the novels are used by the ancient and Roman people. So that is the point that Mikhail Bakhtin was trying to make. And according to Bakhtin, there are many elements in the novels, as we have seen: heteroglacia, dialogism, polyphony, parody. These are the different elements that are present in the novel. We will not go in detail what all these different type of phrases mean. These 5 terms that we have just discussed, we will not discuss, because this particular lecture of explaining these 5 terms, carnivalesque and dialogism, polyphony, require another lecture. And then again, if you want to speed up your preparation and if you want to get access to all these information that I'm telling to you, you can subscribe to Limitless Literature course. In that case, it will be easy for me to guide you, to help you throughout all these concepts as soon as possible. Okay, for now, just remember that according to Mikhail Bakhtin, these are the 5 important characters that are present in the novel, and that sort of innovation is done by the ancient people. So that is the question in the examination. These people have their own opinions how the novels begin. Alright, so these are things that I wanted to discuss in this video. Do let me know if you're finding these videos helpful in the comment section, so that I can continue this particular series. It will encourage me to help you keep updated with the new questions and new topics for your upcoming examination. Alright, so I will see you soon in the next video. That's it for this. Thank you.